Hello everyone, Namaste. Welcome to my thought presentation on peace principles. I already told you these peace principles are direct revelation of God to the founder of our peace movement, Father and Mother Moon. And we will be learning these principles in three parts: ideal, reality, and solutions. In this presentation, I am going to discuss with you the second part, the part of reality. We already learned about the first part in my last presentation. What is ideal? Ideal is to become true parents and build true family as the cornerstone for world peace by realizing and fulfilling the 5% human person of responsibility. That is to become individual perfect, perfection of family, and perfection of dominion. But when we look at our reality today, we don't see these three responsibilities being fulfilled and ideals of creation being realized. Rather, we are facing the evil world of terrible realities, which is just opposite of the ideals of our expectations. All people have an original mind which inclines them to reject evil and pursue goodness. Yet, even without our being aware of it, we are driven by evil forces to perform evil deeds which we do not want to do, for which even the great saint, Saint Paul, confesses saying, "I know the good I want to do. I know the evil I don't want to do, but I keep on doing." We are all in similar boat. None of us wants to do evil in their lives. But even without our knowing, we happen to be driven by the evil forces to doing all those activities which we recognize ourselves as evil deeds. Without a doubt, we may say whatever good we do is guided by Master of Goodness, the Almighty Creator God. But we are not clear about the identity of the Master of Evil, who is making us to do evil which we never want to do. Some call it Satan in Hindi. We may call it Danav, Rakshas. We don't know actual origin and identity of that master of evil yet. Unfortunately, some religion even teaches that good and evil both are just the inherent part of the character, natural character. Do you think the master of goodness himself created both good and evil? I don't think so. Then from where and how this evil originated? One American anthropologist says, people in every culture and age have insisted that evil had a specific cause, that human nature is not natural at all, because it has been distorted by some fundamental mistakes or failure that has been perpetuated from generation to generation. As per his saying, the evil has the specific cause which has spoiled the original human nature, and this fundamental mistake, specific mistake or failure, is passing from generation to generation. But he is unfortunately unable to say what that actual fundamental mistake or failure was. To find out that fundamental mistake or failure, we have no any scientific facts such as videos, photos, or written records from the history. We have to look at the mythological stories that have passed from generation to generation through oral tradition. and need to ask our own deep heart, which intuitionally does not tell us lies. So let us look at some mythological stories. You all must have heard about the Greek story of Pandora box. In this story, it is believed that the king at ancient time had given a box to a man and a woman and had told them not to open it until they are married. But due to the curiosity, woman happened to open that box when man was out of home. And then evil came out of that box and is spread throughout the world. Another story from Africa says, the god asked a man to bring banana but not to eat. But that man ate the banana and the evil originated from that mistake. In another story from the great holy book Bible, it says, first man and woman named Adam and Eve, who were actually naked and even did not feel ashamed, were kept in the Garden of Eden. And they were asked by God to eat all the fruits that were in the garden, but God had forbidden them not to eat a fruit from the tree named Tree of Knowledge of Good and Evil. Very strange name of the tree, Tree of Knowledge of Good and Evil. And you know what was the punishment if they eat? God had said, if you eat that fruit, the day you eat, you shall die. The punishment was death. But suddenly a serpent happened to appear in the garden, who tempts Eve first to eat that fruit, and then she eat that and share the same with first man Adam. Also eat that. And because of that mistake, this evil and sin came into this world and is continued until today. What is the moral of these stories? Do you think evil originated due to the opening of a box, eating a banana, eating a fruit from a forbidden tree? I don't think they were literal fruit or box, a banana or forbidden tree. If you look at the moral of all these stories, that has the same moral lesson. That is, disobedience causes evil to originate. So all these stories have the symbolic meaning, indicating that our ancestors have disobeyed in doing something which turned to be the cause of originating evil. To know that symbolic meaning of that fruit, we must first know the identity of the serpent, snake. How was the nature of a serpent? The serpent was able to communicate with human being. Have you ever heard or seen any snake or serpent being able to communicate with human being in present day? How the snake of that time was able to communicate with human being, whereas the serpent snake of our days does not. The serpent also knew the commandment of God given to human being and was able to tempt human being. In the whole of creation, beside human being, who is the spiritual being that can communicate with human being? It is called angel. So the serpent in the Garden of Eden is not a literal serpent, but that was the leader of the angel called as Lucifer. So what is the symbolic meaning of the fruit that angel Lucifer asked human being to eat? That was such a fruit that punishment of eating that fruit would be death. We eat fruit to gain life, not for dying. And if it is a test from God, do you think keeping a bottle of poison near to a child, any parent asks the child not to eat? If they eat, they will die. So all-knowing and powerful God surely was not testing human being by keeping that forbidden fruit at the Garden of Eden, eating of which will cause the death to his loving children. And the desire for fruit was so lucrative and was greater than life itself. So this fruit surely must be more precious than even life. And the story in the Bible goes this way and tells that the first ancestor, after eating the fruit, felt ashamed of their private part and covered the same. Just for an example, if you happen to eat something which you are not supposed to eat yet, and someone happen to come and see you eating that, what part of your body you will cover? You will cover your mouth, or you will cover your private part? Of course, mouth. If your hand happens to make the mistakes, you will hide your hand, not the private part. So, since our first ancestor covered their private parts after making the mistakes, it is for sure that the mistake was committed by the private parts only. What act of the private parts we consider as the mistake? The illicit, immature relationship made by our private parts before or after the marriage is commonly considered as the mistake. Neither any parents nor any culture in general allow to have such a relationship before or outside the marriage relationship. So the conclusion is that our first ancestor committed the illicit, immature physical relationship which happened to be the cause of the origin of evil. I think I don't need to show many proof to convince you about this fact. If you just ask your own heart a question, is this misuse of man-woman love relationship the root cause of all problems we are facing in our individual lives, families, societies, nation and the world today? I think you will definitely get the answer yes. But let me show you some evidence in order to make you feel and realize that the first human ancestors really committed this mistake of immature physical relationship as the root cause of originating evil in this world. First of all, let us look at the religious verses from different scriptures, which are strongly warning for not to misuse the man-woman love relationship. In Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter verses 63 says, from lustful passion comes the confusion of the mind, then the loss of memory, the negligence of duty. From this loss comes the ruin of reason, and the ruin of reason leads the destructions. Are we not following the path of destructions in this world everywhere? Definitely yes. And Buddhism says 4 things happens to a thoughtless man who takes another man's wife. 1, the degradation of soul. 2nd, a frightened pleasure. 3rd, the danger of law. 4th, the path of hell. Considering these 4, let a man not go another man's wife. No religion gives permission or license to misuse this pure relationship of husband and wife love. Rather, it warns the grave consequences of such an act. You all know, in Hinduism, we worship Shiva Lingam. But I don't know how many of you really know that this image has not only the private organ of Shiva there in the image. It has private organ of Parvati as well. And the moral of worshipping this is that every man and woman has the private organ like Shiva and Parvati have. And we should be able to maintain the purity of this organ by living a life like Mahadev and Parvati, who were the highest role model of husband and wife holy love. So in the Shiva Lingam, that's why there is not shown so many, male organ and female organ in one image. One female organ with one male organ of Shiva and Parvati. Ours should be the same, worshipable by making a holy and pure relationship. If you look at some further evidence of this fact, that the effect of that mistake is passing from generation to generation. And another proof is that the physical love, which should have been one of the most precious and highest form of love, has been so degraded, and due to the moral decline, the value of physical love has become so cheap, and people are selling and buying it with a cheap price. If you examine very closely, it is due to the same cause. We have a family breakdown problems in our society, and rampant crimes increasing in our society. Not only individual, family and society, even the nation and civilization collapses due to such misuse of man-woman relationship. So, this very grave mistake committed by our first human ancestors are the real cause of evil today. Through this all evidence, we cannot deny the fact. Though in Hinduism we think Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Vasana are the causes of all evils, but the root cause of all these evils even are the failure of our first human ancestor for not being able to keep purity until they were matured. So now let us study with what motivation and through which process such failure happened to take place, which could not be solved until today. To know the process and motivation of these grave mistakes, we must go back at the time of the beginning of creation. Let us know first, how was God's creation before creating human being? Before creating human being, as his own image by God as his children, God had angels with him, assisting him at his work. And the head of the servant, the archangel, who was named as Lucifer, used to feel closest to God and used to feel the most important creature of this creation, receiving the love of God directly. But after the creation of human being by God as his children and own image, the angels also were supposed to be the servant of human being as well. And they were in a position to serve, take care and follow human being the way they did with God. But the leader of the angel, whose name was Lucifer, happened to feel lack of love from God. Lucifer thought God is giving more love and more importance and attention to human being than the angel. He felt no more closest to God. As the result, Lucifer developed the envy and jealousy in his heart toward human being. If we speak honestly, that was a very natural, which happens with actually everyone. It was not wrong to have such a feeling actually. But the problem is how we will act after having such feelings in our heart. Like an example, even a very innocent firstborn child in any home will have the similar feeling when the second child comes in that home and attracts the attention and gets the love from all the family members toward second child. And due to that feeling of lack of love, now the first child, can that child harm the second child, thinking him as if his enemy and even try to kill him? No, never, cannot. Similarly, in every workplaces this happens. Example, one person is working very closely with one boss in an office, and suddenly the boss brought his own son as the new boss in the office, and the assistant is now in need to help and take care and assist the son of the boss who is not matured enough and not experienced enough. And then the assistant feels the boss is actually giving more time and importance to his own son than that assistant. Can the assistant of that boss feel lack of love from boss now? You will surely feel. But out of that feeling, can that assistant cause harm or any damage by becoming the enemy to his boss, to his children, to his new boss, the son of the boss? Definitely not. So the feelings of lack of love, anger, envy, jealousy are just very natural. But how we act after having that feeling will determine our future course of progress or destruction. Here, the leader of the angel had the same option, but he could not act in the way that could bring progress in him. Rather, the angel Lucifer acted against God's will and decided to harm and bring damages to human beings by misguiding them to commit the mistake against God's original plan and God's will. So, leader of the archangel motivated innocent human being to commit the grave mistake of human fall. First by seducing woman, and then woman seducing man, and together they committed the grave mistake, and such way the human fall took place. Because of such act, the archangel, leader of the angelic world, Lucifer, came to be known as Satan, Danav, righteous, whatever you say. Until that time, before making the mistake, it was only angel. And that Satan became the dummy ruler of this world through the fallen human being. In the story of the Bible, it was also said, if the fruit is eaten, human being will die. But we did not see first man and woman dying physically even after they ate the fruit. Rather, they gave birth to the children and built a family. So, what God was telling was a lie there? No, God was not saying that after eating the fruit they will die physically. God was actually saying their spirit will die. So due to this human fall, we became the human being. In the name of being alive, we are just dead people. So our life is far away from God's presence. We are far away, separated from God. And we have no capacity to become perfect. We lost that capacity to become perfect, inherited the evil nature in us, and our spiritual senses are closed. So these very painful and sad consequences took place out of this unwanted mistake. First of all, The human fall destroyed God's original plan completely. God was dreaming to build one family under God, one world family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as his direct family. But the world happened to come under the dummy ruler, the king of the devil, Satan. That is why Scripture, in almost all Scripture, it is said that this world is a false world. We should keep away from this worldly, physical pleasure and physical reality. We need to create the world of God by separating ourselves from Satan here on earth itself, so that we will be able to make this world a kingdom of heaven on earth. To do this, we should first know the major results of the human fall. To overcome and remove these impurities of fall that came to us and in this world, there are 4 major results happened due to the fall. First, 4 fallen natures. They are not looking or loving from God's viewpoint, leaving our proper position of responsibility, reversing the order of dominion, authority, and multiplication of evil. These all fallen natures came due to the arrogance and ignorance of the angel first and inherited into human being. Talking about the first fallen nature, not looking or loving from God's viewpoint, we have inherited this fallen nature and keep practicing very well, happily. We always fail to look or love things from God's viewpoint and create problems and keep on fighting. Husband and wife fail to love and look at things from each other's viewpoint. Parent and children, the same. Company boss and employee, the same. Teacher and student, the same. Leader of the society and the people, same. So much so, people misbehave each other, look down each other, and don't value each other due to this very problem. A man fails to look from the same viewpoint to other women by which he look at the women in his own home. Sometimes some criminal-minded people even fail to look at the woman or the close family relation with the correct viewpoint. And as a result, they happen to rape or murder and kill their own people. These all fallen nature are engraved in our hearts so deeply and has become like a natural human nature, which is actually not. We should overcome all these fallen natures, recognizing them well. I cannot explain in detail about all the fallen nature in this short presentation to teach you the way for overcoming them. I hope you will find time to listen other lectures. And the result of the human fall is sin. Human being inherited 4 types of sin due to the fall. They are original sin, hereditary sin, collective sin, and personal sin. I am sorry again. I won't be able to describe about these all sins and the way to overcome this in this short presentation. If you really want to be free from sin, you need to listen other presentations and associate yourself with our peace movement. Another major result of the human fall is that existence and activities of evil on earth through our give and take action with evil. We really need to stop to give and take and relate with evil. Rather, we should be able to transform evil into good and stop the evil activities to take place anymore on earth. It is not possible to solve crimes and evil problems of our society by just enforcing the law agencies and security forces. We have to start from each individuals. Again, for this, you really need to find time and need to receive the help from this peace movement. I hope you will remember this in your heart. Last, but the most important, major result of human fall is suffering of God and humanity. I think I don't need to talk to you about the suffering of humanity. It is so clearly visible to all of us. But I am sure you may be hearing for the first time about the suffering of God. This very discovery is the most important and highest discovery of all discoveries by our founder of peace movement, Father and Mother Moon. No one ever before could even imagine that God is a God of suffering. Just for an example, if a small child of one parent happened to be sick, don't you think as the loving parent, the parents of a child will feel deeper and more suffering than even the child, looking at their lovely child in pain and suffering? Same is with God. Looking at the suffering of humanity, God is in deep suffering and agony in his heart. How to liberate God and humanity from this ceaseless cycle of suffering? If you want to know this, you need to really find a time and ways to join the movement of Father and Mother Moon and learn from them. If it would have been possible to build an ideal world of peace without this movement, we would have already achieved. Because no other way could be possible. So this movement is built by the Almighty Creator. So you all need to gain the knowledge from this movement and receive the help from this movement to fulfill the dream of your life, to live a peaceful life, happy life, and successful life. I am sure now you must be thinking, why did God, the Almighty, all in all, omnipotent, powerful God, allowed such a failure to happen in his beautiful creation? And why did not God stop our first human ancestors and the angel from committing such a mistake? Answer is very simple. To achieve the ideal of becoming true parents, by realizing the 5% human person of responsibility of becoming individual perfect, family perfect, and perfection of dominion, was our person of responsibility. And God did not want to violate his own principle by enacting himself to stop human beings when they were on the process of making mistake. If he does that, it will be the violation of his own principle, and no one in future will follow and obey his principle. And the new rules will be made. If God violates these principles, this will be the new rule for all of us. So what is the conclusion of this lecture on reality? It tells us the cause of the reality of our world today is due to the human failure of not being able to become true parents. Our first human ancestors, instead of becoming true parents successfully, they happened to commit the mistake and became false parents. It is our responsibility now to find the ways and means to become the true parents, overcoming all the satanic temptations and traps. I hope you will associate yourself with our great peace movement and learn further how we can solve this bitter reality of our world today and all of us become the true parents. I wish you all the very best and thank you very much for listening this lecture. See you again.